Today, you're going to discover how to rank your website #1 with EAT in this interview with SEO expert Kazra Dash, including his best SEO strategies for ranking. You're also going to get 8 free ChatGPT EEAT prompts, as you can see here, based on Kazra's advice. You'll get an SOP for ranking your website with EEAT and an SEO checklist. Plus, you'll learn how to scale this and the white hat and black hat SEO strategies for doing so. And whether you're using AI or human written content for SEO, this video will help you, and it's very in-depth with no fluff. No messing around. Let's go. First question. Is EEAT BS?
Absolutely not. If anybody knows about some of the bigger websites in affiliate space, such as Ear Hungry and a few others, they got hit by what's called Rater Hub. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what Rater Hub is, essentially it's Google's manual way of checking your website to see if you have EEAT signals. And in some cases, it's not just on-page EEAT, it's also off-page EEAT. So they're trying to find out if who is Julian Goldie. Is he just mentioned on one website or is he mentioned on other trusted websites? And a lot of offers that I'm seeing now are only mentioned on one website.
Makes sense. So what would you first do when you're setting up a website for EEAT?
So there's obviously like the on-page EEAT side of stuff, and we all know the basics, like an about page, an offer page. Writing an offer page is actually like really important as well. So some people will just talk about the hobbies, right? So they'll say, "Who is Julian?" What you should actually be doing is making sure that you have like H2s that are super direct, like who is Julian Goldie? Because if you think, right, there's 10 million Julians, well, maybe not 10 million, but there's a lot of Julians in the world, right? So making sure that you're using your entire name, super important, making sure that like you're tying everything together. So if you've been seen on like Metro or BBC or whatever else, making sure that you're linking out to those articles. Again, that's super important. And then like just getting those basic foundations, that's probably the most important thing. And then once you've done like all the on-page EEAT side of things, what I would then probably do is focus on actually mentioning your name on other websites. Like we could be the best brain surgeons right now, right? But if there's no recollection of that anywhere else on the internet, Google doesn't know who you are. So if you went and set up a brain surgeon website, why should Google trust you? You need to be talking about any awards on other websites as well as yours as well. So just getting out all the links and all the entities pointing to your website is probably the most important part.
So when you're building up your profile on other websites, what sort of sites are you reaching out to and how would you do it?
So that very much depends, and it's probably not the answer that you want, right? So if, say, for example, EEAT, if you're looking at it from a finance point of view, you'd probably want to be mentioned on other finance related websites. Now, nothing comes to mind, but say, for example, like Muckrack is a universal one that you could probably get across all of your websites. Yahoo Finance, you could probably get that for finance, actually. So if you have just acquired the website, you could say, "Hey, Julian Goldie has just acquired 123 Finance Home for multi-millions," right? You can make up a story and you can get essentially your article on Yahoo Finance. But then there's other ones, like there's a lot of like cooking or chef related websites that you can get your offers mentioned on that if you have like a bakery site or something. And then same goes with like travel as well. Like all the EEAT side of stuff, like it's slightly a little bit different for every single industry. And just to go back to what you asked me before, is EEAT BS, right? Some people have been hit in this algorithm update and they've got like one site, right? And they're like, "Oh, well, I had all my EEAT, right? Why have I been hit?" And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. EEAT is different for every single type of industry. So if you're in finance, you might need a lot more EEAT than if you're in porn or if you're in gambling, right? So SEO is not one size fits all. So making sure if you're looking at like 2 or 3 other websites in your industry, right? So for example, if you're in finance, you're probably going to need the about page, the offer at the top. But if you're in something, for example, gambling, you might not need all of that, right? So there's different elements to EEAT.
And then each time you get, say, a piece of PR on other websites,
Mhm.
would you link from, say, your about page or your author page to all those pieces of PR to quickly link them? And basically, when Google crawls your site, it's another signal to say, this is a real person mentioned on other websites.
Yeah. So there's a lot of websites right now. So there's two types of websites that I'm seeing, right? There's one type of website that says as seen on, and then they have loads of images, right? And it doesn't even link out. So it's like as seen on Forbes, and you click the Forbes link, and you're like, why can't I click to, have they not been mentioned on Forbes? What's going on? And there's the websites that have actually been genuinely mentioned on Forbes. And again, this isn't a direct correlation, but if you can actually link out to Forbes because you have genuinely been mentioned to Forbes, it's a massive trust signal because not many people can get a link on Forbes. I know Forbes gets a lot of like flack and they're like, oh my God, they're ranking for everything. Forbes is genuinely a really decent, high quality website. If anybody is watching this, go and look at their editorial policy. I can guarantee you can't go and just publish anything that you want like you can on Outlook India and stuff like that. So it's pretty strict when it comes to like how they vet content that's actually uploaded on their website. So if you can get all of these links, for example, the top level links pointing through to your website, definitely worth mentioning on your website.
I know a few years ago, like previously what you do is you go on to say, this person does not exist. And then you'd go on to address generators and then phone number generators. And before you know it, you've got John Parrott on your website with an afro. Like, do you think that the days of anonymous websites are over? It seems like something Google's clamping down on more and more so, especially in YMYL niches, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've watched I think it was my second last video, right? And there was a screenshot in that video. And LinkedIn, right? They know how to detect this person doesn't exist or fake images. And they just ban fake LinkedIn profiles literally within 24, 48 hours. I have tested that. And this test was like back in like 2019 as well. So it's not like a recent test, but back in 2019, I made 9 profiles, all on different IPs, all using different computers and stuff like that. All 9 of them have been banned since then. But if LinkedIn can do it, trust me, Google can do it. And trust me, like I'm looking at some websites, and again, I am nowhere near as smart as the Google algorithm, right? I'm looking at some of these websites and I'm like, yeah, that's a fake person, right? If I can detect it, surely Google can detect it. And not only that is like, for example, I'll throw it back to you, right? Obviously you've got the reverse Google image search. You reverse Google image search somebody that is fake. There's only one image of them. If somebody Googles myself, Kazra Dash or Julian Goldie, there's hundreds, maybe thousands of images of us online. And it's like, right, yeah, Julian Goldie is a real person. Kazra Dash is a real person. These two guys are trusted. Whereas John Parrott over here with the pink afro, and he's only been mentioned once. It's like, well, why should we trust him? He's talking about, I don't know, like how to recover from a heart attack. It's like that's a major issue that we shouldn't be ranking him for. So yeah, Google can, like, I reckon I'm almost 100%, but I'm going to say I'm 99% certain that they can detect fake people. And again, it comes back down to the Rater Hub stuff that I was speaking about earlier. One of the checks that they do, and this is from the Google Quality Raters guidelines, is they check to see if that is a real person. And again, that's off-site checks. So if John Parrott's only been mentioned on your website, he's probably a fake person. They can obviously do a little bit more digging and stuff like that, like do the reverse Google image search, see if there's more pictures of John Parrott with his pink afro. But if there's not, then it's very easy for them to be like, yeah, -1 point or minus or X in that tick box.
They might even have a signal in the algorithm that says, if your afro is pink,
Yes.
we're not going to rank that. It's just that. What percentage of website owners do you think got hit with the recent updates? Because it seemed like a decent percentage. I see a lot of complaints all over Reddit, Twitter, my YouTube comments.
I feel like that there's a lot of people that have been hit, but they've obviously been replaced by somebody else. And I feel like the ones that have been replaced, they're probably not the ones screaming and crying on Twitter, right? They're probably the guys that are like, yeah, great. I'm making an extra $5,000 on my affiliate site. Brilliant. I'm not going to scream and shout about this. I'm going to keep this hush hush. I feel like the guys that have been hit are probably the ones that are just making the most noise. And again, I don't have anything against guys that have been hit. I'm always trying to help people out. I feel like as an SEO, you just need to go through peaks and troughs, and you need to have good bounce back ability. You need to have a good mindset and say, right, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm not going to cry about this, but I'm going to fix this issue. Okay, I'll hold my hands high and be like, I have cut corners. Let's go and remediate this. Let's go and fix this. Let's take John Parrott off of his pink afro and replace him with Julian Goldie, and just actually stop cutting corners. Because again, I don't know about you, Julian, but I don't want to build a website on quicksand. Whenever I'm building a website, I'm looking at like, right, okay, what's the longevity of this website? Can I actually look to sell this website in 1 or 2 years' time? Or is this just a quick burn and churn? Let's earn for the next 6 months and I'll be done with it. If that's your strategy, and I've not got anything against that strategy because it works, right? You can very quickly scale out a website to earn you 10, 15, 20 grand a month. And within that 6 months, you've got your money back, right? But if you're looking to scale out a website for longevity and sell on, for example, empire flippers, there's going to be a lot of checks that they're going to do, and you're not going to pass those checks. And you're probably going to get hit before you even get to empire flippers. So just make that decisive decision to begin with, and then say, right, okay, I'm going to go with option one. I'm going to have a website for 6 months, or I'm going to go with option two, and I'm going to build out an actual brand. So I'm going to have a Twitter profile. I'm going to have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to future-proof this website. So option number two is going to be a lot harder, but payoff's a lot nicer.
There'll be a lot of people asking who've had their website hit, how long is it going to take to see that improvement? Are they going to have to wait until the next sort of helpful content or core update?
Yeah. So again, this depends on the type of penalty you've had. If it's a link-based penalty, typically what we see, like I've got a team that does disavows and stuff for a lot of websites. And if it's to do with a disavow, you're probably going to need to wait until the next core algorithm update, because that's when they re-rank everything. So if you've had, like, I don't know, a disavow and they have, I don't know, disavowed 1,000 links, that's when they rescore everything after the next core algorithm update. They say that the helpful content scoring system is in real time. So if you're fixing all your content issues, if you're fixing your website, it can be real time. And from my early testing, like we've done a lot of content pruning as well, like what we were talking before the podcast. We are seeing some incremental jumps, but again, it does depend on the size of your website. Like if you've got a load of dead weight pages and you need to get rid of like 700 pages and like fix all of those, it just depends on the size of the website.
Let's come on to content pruning though. So, for example, let's say a lot of people watching this channel use AI.
Mhm.
Sometimes the problem with AI is you build up a ridiculous amount of pages, but actually as a percentage, only a tiny percentage of those actually get traffic. Would you recommend pruning the ones that don't, or what's your strategy for that?
Yeah. So again, like another video that I've done on my website is like people have always been talking about like new pages, new pages, new pages, right? But the old pages that are getting you the traffic are probably the ones that you need to be given a little bit more time and care on. So say, for example, if you've got a page talking about like the best white running shoes, are you going in and adding in like secondary keywords and LSIs and stuff like that that you don't have on the page, but you're showing impressions for? If you don't, then you need to be doing that. Same goes with the pages that like don't have any clicks, but they've been getting loads of impressions. Google likes that page. It's given its impressions, but again, like you might have just been spitting out a load of content to begin with, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now you need to go back in and kind of just give that page a little bit more love. So if, say, for example, you have a variation of best white running shoes that you're getting an impression for, you might have had 6,000 impressions for, go in and add that as a H2, or go in and have like that actual wording on that page, because it's a very easy win as well, but nobody wants to do it because it's probably the most time consuming part, going back through it all. When it comes to content pruning, so we it's a very, very difficult question. So there's a lot of pages where you probably will need to remove, but in some cases you might need to go and add that certain section to another page. So you're still talking about the entities on across your entire website, and Google still understands you're talking about fitness shoes or whatever else, but that it just doesn't deserve a page for that, that keyword, if that makes sense. So that's what we've started to do, and we're seeing some early, really nice results as well.
And then if you, let's say you delete those old pages, are you redirecting them to the page where you've added the content?
Yeah. So in some cases, you will need to delete and like you just don't even need it on your website. In that case, you can like 410 it, and that means that when Google comes back to that page, Google's like, all right, okay, this page doesn't exist. If that page had links, potentially you could 301 it to your homepage. And then if you add it to another article, you can 301 it to the other article. Or in some cases, you might say, right, okay, I've got two similar style articles. I'm going to delete this one because it's not had any impressions, it's not had any clicks, and then I'm going to 301 it to this one. So in some, it's very multifaceted. It just depends on how your website's structured and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Coming back to EEAT, let's say you're doing something like, for example, with me, I'm doing this 100 website challenge in 90 days. I don't want to create any fake personas because I
Yeah.
do want real signals. How do you scale that across 100 sites?
So EEAT can be SEOs that probably don't want me to say that. It definitely can. EEAT is all about links, right? So if we go back to what was the guy's name with the pink afro?
Parrot, I don't know if it's pink. I don't know if
If we go back to John Parrott, right? We can make John Parrott the best doctor in LA. If you want me to, we can do that, right? Now, again, going back to what I was saying, do you want strategy one or do you want strategy two? Because if we're going to fake him to be like the best doctor talking about keto diets, etc., it's probably going to work for the next 6 months. But then Google's probably going to come out with another update and say, hey, we know that John Parrott with the pink afro hasn't got his PhD in ketosis or whatever else. So you can definitely fake it. Like, I feel like when people talk about EEAT, like, again, it's a lot to do with like the links and stuff going to your website. So just making sure that if you are going to set up a fake persona, or if you're going to say, for example, put your mum on the website, just get a load of links saying that your mum's the best doctor in America. She's done loads of brain surgery and stuff, and you can fake EEAT.
you put it in anchor text. Like my mom is definitely
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, right? If you came to me and said, "Hey, Kaz, like I want John Parrott to be the best fitness trainer to get six pack," right? We can very quickly in the next 6 months, to be honest, within the next 3 months, we can very quickly say, right, okay, we're going to build a load of links and we're going to build a load of authority to the name John Parrott. And we're going to say, right, he has helped train the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger, da 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 da, da, right? And very quickly, you can build out that like the EAT trust signals for that. Now, again, is that going to be long lasting? I don't think so. Like it definitely does work now because we've got a lot of clients that have come to us and said like, "Hey, I need help with my EAT. Like, can we build up the offership and stuff like that?" Now, if you're going to go down the path of using a fake offer, like just be warned, like you can potentially get hit further down the line.
yeah, and I guess ethically as well, it's got a lot of question marks, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So what I'm seeking you, if you're like, right, I don't want to fake my persona, I'll use myself on each of these websites, and you link to your social media, you are a real person, but maybe you're not necessarily expert. Plus your name is going to be mentioned on dozens of websites. Do you think that's okay from an EAT perspective or?
Yeah, so we've obviously had this conversation before, right? Now, you can essentially do certain things, or you can mention your name in certain ways that can be applied to various websites, right? So let's say Julian Goldie's setting up a website to do with travel, and then he's setting up another website to do with, I don't know, like bird equipment, right?
Yeah.
You can essentially say like Julian Goldie's an entrepreneur and he invests in websites. Right. So that's still EEAT. Like at least the website is attached to Julian Goldie, which is a pronounced entrepreneur. He's got his YouTube channel and he shows people how to make money online. And again, it's like, say, for example, if you set up like a limited company in the UK, right, and you attach all of these websites to that limited company, at least they know that there's a limited company that's holding all of these websites and holding all these assets. And then they're like, right, okay, this bird website is attached to Julian Goldie Limited UK. Right. Okay. Yeah. We trust that. We can see that that company got registered in 2018. Right. It's all to do with like the perspective and stuff like that. You definitely can attach your name to multiple websites because I've seen people do it. Right. It's just how you go and do it. Like, for example, if you went and had got like a load of articles talking about how Julian Goldie is a serial entrepreneur and he buys websites, and then you go on top of that and get let's say, two mentions of your name saying that you are a Muay Thai specialist and you've got a six pack, right? Okay, that's brilliant. You've got a fitness website. You're known to be a fitness guy now. Then you can say that Julian Goldie is a coffee specialist, and all he does is drink 18 cups of coffee, right? Okay, brilliant. Julian Golden now knows about the best coffee grains in Brazil because he's had every single coffee since he was 5, right? You can very easily just manipulate EEAT to be like, right, okay, Julian Goldie's this. So it's very easy to attach your website to multiple websites. Just don't think that, oh, I've used Julian Goldie once, I can't use him again.
Yeah, that's the only thing I worry is like, is there a footprint across the websites that looks unusual? But I guess it depends which story you spin, right?
No, so like again, if like there's a lot of websites. Like for example, I want to say TechCrunch, but don't quote me on this. They have offers on various different websites. Like some of these big companies, like the big newspapers and stuff, especially in the UK, right? Some of the editors or the authors and stuff, they might write for the Sun. They might also write for the Daily Mail and the Telegraph, all three of them. Again, are they trusted to do with like sports? Yeah, they are. They can definitely talk about sports.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. What about using ChatGPT and AI to integrate EAT across your website? Because I guess you can use it to create about me pages and author bios at scale. You could also talk about your personal experiences and prompt ChatGPT to talk about your own stories and experiences in the way that you write. How do you leverage that?
Yeah, so like we obviously we use it for like, for example, editorial policies, like about pages, and like obviously you've got that Chat GPT extension now, which it goes and like reads a URL and then it comes back. What's that one called? Like you basically give it like a URL and then it can essentially go and read what's on that actual page. Matt Diggy done a video on it recently. I forget what it's called, but
You,
basically,
you can use even plugins like Web Pilot on
yeah,
ChatGPT.
Web Pilot, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one, yeah. So, like, you can essentially give it, like, an article that you've written, right? And it can go and understand the tonality of how you write, and then you're like, "Right, okay, write me an about page to do with Julian Goldie with this tonality." And then it'll go read the article, come back and be like, "Right, okay, this is how I'm gonna structure the website or structure the article." So we do certain things like that. And it definitely does speed up the process. Like you can very quickly tick off a lot of the on-page EAT side of stuff in like an afternoon.
Yeah, one of the things I actually started doing recently is building out just for marketing in general, whether it's website content, email copy, social media posts, is building out a prompt that basically has every single thing you can think about me, like
Mhm.
whole life story, even how many languages I speak, social media, every single thing that is mentionable. And
Mhm.
then when you plug that prompt into ChatGPT, you say create an email for my email list or create a social media post. It
Ah,
spins a story that's very, very personalized to you. And the way that I found this out was, have you heard of Hamza on YouTube?
yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
He does exactly the same thing for his YouTube scripts. Not, I don't think for all of them, but I've seen him do it for previous YouTube scripts. And it's super
Right,
interesting.
okay.
But it's such a powerful way to like personalize all the content that you create with AI to you and to the author,
Mm.
and in ways that you can't really fake it. Yeah.
Like I've set myself this goal, right? And it's tweet every day for the rest of the year, right? There's been times where I'm just sat there, I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what to tweet about." And then I'll quickly load up ChatGPT. I'll give it like one of my tweets or like a few of my tweets, and I'll be like, "Right, okay, go and write me a tweet about mentorship or SEO." And I'll be like, "All right, okay, I quite like that. I'll tweak it a little bit," and then bang, done. So yeah, it's definitely taken over, hasn't it?
Massively. Yeah. And Twitter, especially, just without going off on a tangent, is insane the organic reach. I think we reached about 1.5 million people in the last 28 days.
That's nuts.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
I think I'm at 650,000 at the minute.
Which is great.
Yeah.
To reach that on YouTube, like you need to publish a lot of content.
Mm.
So what about in the YMYL niche? When it comes to EAT, have you seen manual action penalties before? Where websites don't have any EAT or experience, etc.
Yeah. So like, again, going back to what I was saying before, like ET, it's very much different for every single industry. But YMYL, finance, we've seen offer transparency, which is a completely different type of manual action, right? There's maybe like 5 people that I've spoke to that know about it. And offer transparency essentially comes down to like, how transparent are your offers? Is it John Parrott with the pink afro that nobody's ever heard of? Or is it, I don't know, like Piers Morgan, the very qualified journalist that's talking about all the news and stuff like that? Who'd you trust more? Maybe in some cases, people probably would trust John Parrott, but that's another subject, right? But yeah, it does come down to like the EAT side of stuff. And again, back to what I was saying before, like if you're running a porn site, you're probably not going to need as much EAT like signals. Whereas if you are in YMYL, that's like super, like you need to have a lot of things ticked off. Like one of the things that I personally have seen over the years is back in 2019, I want to say, or maybe I think it was 2020. So during lockdown, right? The whole reason why they clamped down on and made it like a bigger ranking factor is, I don't know if you saw this during lockdown. There was a lot of websites that were saying, "Hey, you need to go and buy, I don't know, Dogecoin because it's going to go up 2 million%," right? And in the UK, there was a lot of people that essentially remortgaged their house because they had nothing better to do. You're in lockdown. What'd you do? And they went and essentially invested 20, 30 grand in Dogecoin or shitcoin or whatever, right? And then it's ended up tanking completely. And then they're like, oh, I can't pay off this mortgage. So Google had a massive issue on their hand back in like 2019. Then they rolled out the YMYL. Now, YMYL has been around since like 2014 or something, but they really did clamp down on it in like early 2020. I want to say it was, and they hit a load of finance websites, and we were hit back in 2020 in finance, and we're like, why has this happened? And then we started digging around, and we're like, if you're talking about finance, you probably need like a financial advisor on the website. So then we were like, right, okay, let's reach out to some financial advisors. Let's pay a financial advisor to essentially review our content and say, right, okay, yep, I sign this article off. So everything essentially had to be signed off by a financial advisor. If we're talking about a certain type of stock, or if we're talking about a certain type of credit card or mortgage or whatever else, it's literally had to be reviewed by a financial advisor and be like, yep, I approve that. Yep, I approve that. And essentially, she became the face of that website. And over time, the website did recover. Now, again, some people might be trying to rank for like Amazon affiliate products and stuff like that. Would you need that amount of EEAT? Probably not, right? But again, it comes down to like what industries you're in. Like if again, there might be some guys that are watching this video and they might be in local, right? And if you're a local plumber, you're not probably going to need to get like a plumber signing off all your articles, right? But again, it just comes down to what angle you're trying to play at Google. If you're local, you're probably not going to need to worry about a lot of this stuff unless you're a mortgage advisor. You might be an independent mortgage advisor. But if, say, for example, you're a lawyer, you might need some of this. If like, I don't know, you build stairs and you're a handyman, you probably don't need to worry about it. If you're an Amazon affiliate type of guy, there might be certain things you might be in between. But if you have a website about fitness and body like fitness and stuff like that, then you probably need to worry about some of this because again, it's YMYL.
I feel as well like with the rise of AI content and how low the barriers to entry are to creating content, there
Mhm.
has to be some way of filtering that. And I feel like even if you don't get hit right now for having no persona on your website or no EAT signals, it's just a matter of time, or you're just giving another reason for Google to slap you in the future, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like again, like there has been some websites that have went up that don't fit the EAT expertise, right? And I'm looking at some of these websites and I'm like, it takes what, 20 minutes, an hour, a few hours to just get your EAT signed off, ticked off, and then you're done, right? But then it's like, no, I've went up by 60% in the last update. I know what I'm doing. It's like, all right, okay, like why not just tick it off? It's like basic SEO now. It genuinely should be part of like your basic like site structure, Right. So you've got your internal links, you've got your silo, you've got your internal links, EEAT, right? I'm going to need to spend a few hours on my EEAT. Just do it so it's out the way.
It doesn't take long at all as well. I recorded a video last week about it, and it's like,
Mhm.
it took me about 30 minutes just to go through this checklist one by one. Very,
Yeah.
very simple, but easy to implement. What do you think if people listening to this were to implement 3 things to improve their EAT, what's the 80/20 of it?
Three things. Oh, so I'm still seeing a lot of offer pages that just say like, who is Julian? I think that it's super important to use full names. Like again, people can search my name up, Kazra Dash, and look at my about page on FatRank or Searcheroo or whatever. You'll see that I always use my full name. Then, so again, this is probably going to be the second hardest thing for some of the guys that are using fake personas, right? Again, if you search up Kazra Dash, you'll see pictures of like me with Kyle Roof, me with James Dooley, me. There might be a picture of me and you. I don't know. Right? Don't quote me on that. But there's me and other authoritative figures in the space, right? So very quickly, Google's like, right, okay, I know who Matt Diggy is. He's that SEO guy. Oh, Kazra Dash, he's an SEO. What are these two guys doing? They're SEOs. So you're essentially just like feeding Google more information. So if you've got pictures like that, add them on, right? So that's number two. And again, like I'm gonna go super white hat, right? So I'll give you three super white hat answers, and then I'll give you three like black hat answers, right? I've been doing a load of podcasts. So I'm sure probably people are probably tired of seeing my face, hear my voice, whatever else, right? But again, that's
Angry Mike.
yeah, it's a massive trust factor because again, like with the rise of AI, they know that Kazra Dash isn't AI because he's just went and done 10 million podcasts. He's went and done a YouTube series, da 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 da. So if you're a genuine person that you've attached your website to, go and do all of these things. Like go and try to do, I don't know, one podcast a month. You don't need to do 10 million podcasts in a week like what I do, but go and do one podcast a month in the finance industry talking about, I don't know, ISAs or mortgages or whatever your website's about. If it's about fitness, go try and pitch to like a lot podcast websites or podcasts. There is a website that you can actually find. I'll try and find it and you can link it in the description and stuff or in the comments. But essentially ping, like you tell it like what podcasts you want to go on. So if your website's about fitness, you say like, my name is Julian Goldie. I expertise in fitness. And every week it will say, hey, Julian, have you tried going on this podcast? Have you tried going on that? It will send you like 10, 15 podcasts that you can go on. So that's number three. Now, if you don't have a genuine person, do these things. Go and get a muck rack, go and get a Yahoo Finance, go and try and find like a friend or something that has a load of images. Obviously ask him for his permission. Don't just, I don't know, slap on your mate and then he's going to see your website and be like, what the fuck? Don't do it. Don't do that. But if you can find like a mate or something, like go and ask for his permission first and then use him as the expert. Then once you've done that, go and build a load of links. Again, EEAT is down to links. So the more mentions you can get of John Parrott saying that he's a brilliant financial advisor, the better. And then again, if you want to go one step further, there are a load of AI voices that you can use. So you can start like a faceless YouTube channel in John Parrott's name, and you can be talking about different ISAs or different finance like related articles and stuff like that. And then again, that's building up EEAT. Now, is that going to be long lasting? I don't know. Probably not. But you're going to be able to ride out the wave a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's a risky take, isn't it? If you've got a fake persona, you have to realize it might not be forever.
Yeah.
What happens? So another big part with EAT and demonstrating who you are can be claiming the knowledge panel. But some people, they don't appear when you Google their name on the knowledge panel. Is that because of the knowledge graph or why is that?
So I'm probably not the best person to ask, right? There's like guys like Jason Barnard and stuff like that. They live and breathe like knowledge panels and stuff. I put it down to the amount of mentions you have on the web. Like I feel like I've got quite a lot of mentions now of my name. Like I'm looking at yours, for example. You've got like the right hand side like offer knowledge panel. But if you
Yeah.
search up Kazra Dash, I've got like the entire thing. Like if like mine's like Matt Diggity's, for example. I again, I'm guessing here, but I think it's to do with the amount of mentions, the amount of images, just the amount of entities they have surrounding Julian Goldie. Like I was to like I think I got my knowledge panel in 6 months. Like it was very quick. But again, Kazra Dash isn't like a like there's not six Cadra Dashes, right? There might be two or three different Julian Goldies. I feel like Julian Goldie's probably like a unique name, but if you've got like a name like James Smith, right? There's probably 40 of you. Certain names will be a little bit harder. One thing that we are testing out at the minute is trying to swap the knowledge panel, and we are slowly seeing results of the amount. So, if say for example, there's a James Smith at the minute, and they have 30 articles talking about him, you might need to go and get 40 articles talking about you, and then you can swap out. You can essentially force the knowledge panel out. Again, I'm just guessing, so it's not fully tested yet, but we are seeing slight signs of that at the minute on one of our tests.
Makes sense. When it comes to your, I know you've got a massive portfolio of websites, right? Particularly with James. What systems do you have in place to manage those?
We have a brilliant team. Like, obviously, I started out as a web developer, right? I've not built a website in the last 2 years. Like, it's all like systemized and stuff. So I feel like if anybody's looking to grow out 650, 700 websites, first of all, I don't recommend you do it because it comes with a lot of headache. But if you're as crazy as me, then make certain that you never blame the staff, but you blame the SOP. It's never really the staff's problem or fault. It's usually the SOP, and the SOPs are never done, right? So, like for example, you might set up an SOP, and it might be 17 steps. In a month's time, it might be 25. In 5 months' time, it might be 110 steps. So, just making sure you're systemizing everything is as you go along. Like, don't rely on one member of staff because that staff member might, hopefully not, but they might get hit by a bus, right? And that's worst case scenario. But everything should be like interchangeable. So if a staff member leaves, you can very quickly change them and be like, right, okay, I'm going to go and hire a new staff person or a new VA, and bang, right, we're back to business now. So everything should be interchangeable. Never blame the staff, and yeah, just make certain that like everything's robust. Like when it comes to like the actual WordPress side of stuff, like, I don't think you've seen any of my websites. They've all got custom plugins. We've got like 2 plugins and 1 theme, all custom. They're not on the WordPress repository, so they can't touch wood. They can't be hacked. And yeah, there's just a lot more like safe to use. So again, like I'm seeing like a lot of guys go out on Fiverr or Legit or whatever, and they hire a WordPress developer, and the developer comes back with a website, and it might look really great, the website, but they're using 60 plugins when they should only be using one or two. And every plugin comes with an issue or a vulnerability. Like, for example, Yoast, that's been hacked multiple times. Rank Math's been hacked. Everything can get hacked. So just bear that in mind if you are scaling out a lot of websites.
It slows your site down as well, right? If you had
Yeah.
loads of plugins on your site. What about with KPIs? Do you assign, say, key performance indicators to the people managing each site? Like you have to publish X amount of content, or you have to hit X amount of traffic or revenue from the site?
Yeah. So every staff member gets 25% of the website's earnings. So it's kind of down to them to actually grow it. If they like, they've obviously got their base salary. But if they want to earn more money and stuff like that, they can very easily start earning 10, 15, 20 grand. And again, it's no cost to them because our business puts the money in. So if it costs 10 grand to rank that website, that staff member hasn't spent a single penny, but they're getting 25% on anything that the website earns. So if the website starts earning 10 grand a month, they're on 2.5 grand just from that one website. And some of the staff members have like 10, 15 websites. So it's a very, very lucrative model for the staff. And that's why, like, again, this is one thing that Mads talks about as well, is keeping staff motivated, keeping staff like wanting to do more. So if one member of staff goes and gets a client for like a grand or whatever a month, everyone else is like, oh, I want to do that. And then it essentially like knocks everyone else into gear, and they're like, right, okay, let's get to work. And then again, like all of these websites, like for example, we've got so many staff now, but if one member of staff sees like a little bit of a result of a test that they've done on their website, so let's say, for example, they've been doing a load of tier 2 links, they're like, oh my God, I've jumped up for all these keywords. What did you do? Oh, I built tier 2 links, and everybody else copies. So we're always growing as a rank and rent agency.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We have similar things where we do competitions.
Yeah.
And for example, at the agency, it might be like, right, who can sell the most amount of content this month? And then the winner gets an extra bonus. But
Mm.
also, like you say, one person will crack the code and then everyone else on the team learns from that. Is there anything else you want to say on EEAT before we go?
The EAT, did you want to tell them about the audit?
We're going to leave a link down below in the description and the comments. And if you do want to get an audit from Kasra for EEAT, then feel free to order that. And I checked, it's about $99, right?
Yeah, so it is a Black Friday, early Black Friday deal. And basically you can get an audit that I believe we usually charge out at like $250, $200 for $99. It will talk about literally everything that we spoke about. So if you're missing certain things on your website, it'll go into detail, and you also get a bespoke video per audit as well. So it's completely actually bespoke to your website. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And what's the best way to contact you?
Kasra-dash.com or on Twitter, Kasra_dash.
All right. Sounds good. Cheers then.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.